Because when you love somebody, you're honest with them. And the only way for us to get to where we got to get to, which is not here, by the way, we got to take some steps. And some of those steps are going to be uncomfortable, but the only way we're going to get there is to get up. We're going to have to get up and find our way, because this is not it. On the ride in, Brother Cage and I passed by a bunch of big, shiny cars, scrapers. And I have to admit, I ain't never seen a white girl pull up listening to crunk music. But I've officially seen it all. Thank you, Memphis. I'm used to going to colleges and seeing white kids in shorts all year round. I was in North Carolina. They were barefoot. I don't understand that. My family is big on shoes. But we love all people. And it's important that you understand that in order for us to get to where we got to get to, we got to do some honest soul searching. Can't nobody take you where you need to be if you ain't willing to go. And we could spend all day talking about everybody but us. And I can get you to hoop and holler and make you feel some kind of way. But at the end of the day, you're going to ask yourself, but what was he saying? See, I'm not one of those professors who pontificate and hit you with big words and get you going. And you think, yeah, Lord, yeah, Lord. What did that mean? Mine is a reality that exists with children. And so I have to be plain. I have to make it plain. And one of the strange things about the past year since last I was here is this being on TV thing. It makes people think certain things about people that they see on television. Like, I'm sure I appear taller on television. Not my fault. Maybe I'm not as good looking on television as I am as in person. But in any case, one of the things that I've seen happen is it presents me with certain opportunities. Now, the pastor preaches the word, and I'm here to teach the word. But mine is a different word, and if we follow both, we'll get to where we need to be. If you can understand that because I've had certain opportunities, my life seems to have changed, then you'll understand where we're going. I'll tell you a bit about the best and worst day of my life. Same day. December 24th, 2010. It was a weekday, Christmas Eve, and so like every weekday, without fail, I went to work. No, school is not open, not even my school. But it's just something I just get up and I feel like I'm supposed to be there. Pastor and I have talked about this family thing. And it's a constant struggle because of the pull of responsibility. We've had that conversation quite a few times. And on December 24th, you know, my sons are 5 and 8. Walker and Mason. And Walker's the little haunted one. He is. My grandmother said, I swear for God, I swear for God. And he told my wife this past week, he told her, because he got in trouble at the beginning of the week, he said, Daddy is meaner than the devil on hot bread. He's right. He's lucky I wasn't home, though, because Daddy would have fixed his sense of humor. So, I ain't going to lie to you, dads. No, right. But on December 24th, I'd gone to work and I came home. And when I came home, I received a text from a very, very well-known educator, probably the most well-known in the country. And he texts me and he says, a real cloak and dagger pastor. He says, don't say no, just listen. I'm thinking my phone's going to explode on me or something. So I text back yes, because, I got to follow the cloak and dagger thing. Says you'll receive a phone call in 45 minutes. 45 minutes, I received a phone call. I like working with white folks. I'm going to make my way all the way around. And so in 45 minutes, I received a phone call, and the phone call said, we would like you to consider the position of superintendent of a very large and well-known school system. I remembered what I said earlier, and I said I wouldn't say no, because each time I've been given an opportunity, I've said no. Every time. I like being the principal of my school. I really do. It sounds crazy, and every time I say it, I know that if people think that I want something, like I'm vying for another job. I don't want y'all to think that. I love what I do. I love my kids. I love seeing my kids every single day, and I'm being really real with you. That's not just shtick. I really dig it. So I said, okay, I'll listen. I went upstairs, and so it's a great day, another great day. And I feel very humbled and honored that these folks would give me an opportunity to run a very large school system that since it's still vacant, I won't tell you where it is. But just trust that it's a very large district. So in any case, we talk about it, and I go upstairs, and I first tell my wife, and, she's ready to go, like, let's go. Like y'all tend to be. Woo! Where are we going? She's already up there. Realtor.com. You got to know who you're working with, Pastor. They got nice houses there. So I'm upstairs, and I'm on the phone with a brother I'm really cool with, real confidant of mine, and he and I are talking about this, and I'm saying to him that this call has come a couple of times. He knows this because he usually feels these phone calls, and so he and I are going back and forth about this, and he's saying, brother, maybe you do have to start listening to these people because, you're traveling a lot, and people are expecting you to do certain things, and they want you to be something, and maybe this is that time, and maybe you ought to listen to somebody. And so we're having this conversation. I'm saying it doesn't really feel right. It doesn't, like, I don't feel like I'm going to be made whole by this. And there's a purpose, and I got to have a purpose in this, and I don't really feel like there's a purpose. I feel like I'm doing this because it's supposed to be something I'm supposed to do, but it doesn't feel like why. I don't feel like I'm answering the question, why? Because in all the educated that I am, I really feel like the most important thing that I am is a father, and I feel like this is going to make me even less because I'm going to be out of the house even more if that's possible. Trust me, asked my wife at 2 a.m. last night in our very spirited conversation. It's spirited when you wake up and make up. It's an argument up to that point. So while I'm upstairs, I hear a sound that I have never heard in my life. I hear my wife and my oldest son screaming like I've never heard a human scream before. I mean, just screaming from the bottom of their souls, screaming, and I don't even know so I jump up, and I jump from the bed because I was on the bed, and the phone is on my lap, and the phone explodes against the wall, and I run downstairs, and I get down there, and my wife is screaming and screaming and screaming, and she has my son, who's 5 years old, and she's holding him, and he is not breathing. There's no way to come into that feeling like anything. See, because it's easy at a time for you to begin to believe all the good things that people say about you and think that you're as good as you might be, and to begin to feel superhuman and feel taller because you're on television and doing something. And it's easy because of a position that you feel like you have, or a job, or something that somebody told you, to actually believe it. There's no one who's above that. And so I come down, and she's screaming, and my oldest son, Mason, is screaming, and he's saying, I'm not going to have a baby brother. Now, my sons are just like any other sons. They fight all day. They wake up fighting, they go to bed fighting. But not that day. Not on December 24th. And so I take my youngest son from my wife, and he's starting to blue. His eyes are open, but he's not. He can't. There's no reaction. He's completely blank, and he's starting to blue. So I lay him down on the floor, just in the shadow of the Christmas tree with all the presents on it. And I, like many of you, at a time of sorrow, we become pretty religious. And, ain't nobody else in the room except for him at that point. And I say, why? They say that your life flashes in front of you. All that flashed in front of me was every time I was out of the house. All I could think about was not being home. On a week like this week, where I started in Philadelphia on Saturday, went to Georgia Tech on Sunday afternoon, flew to Los Angeles Sunday night, spent the day in Los Angeles on Monday, and Tuesday was in San Francisco, and then on Wednesday, San Diego, and on Thursday, North Carolina. Friday, went home for a little while just to see my son's swimming lessons on Saturday, and then left at about 1 on Sunday. Those are the kind of weeks that I'm talking about. And so as my son lay on the floor, I began performing CPR, blowing in his mouth. Mucus was coming out. I just wipe it off, start blowing again. He doesn't move. I don't know what's going on. I'm saying this can't be. I'm trying to talk to him. I'm trying to reason because, see, I can talk. That's what they say I can do. So I'm doing it, figuring I'm going to my strengths, and it's just not working. And everything that I think I can do so well is not going so well. I don't feel like Superman. I don't feel like an expert. I don't feel like any of the people who I'm supposed to be for other people. I feel like a father, simple father. That's all I am at this point. I just want my boy to get up. He's only 5. I can't think of anything else that I want in my life. I'll give it all up if he would just get up. So I'm pushing and breathing, and my son is screaming, and my wife is screaming, and she's on the phone with the paramedics and telling them, and they're only 5 minutes away, but it feels like it's 5 hours, and she's calling, and she's begging them to hurry up, and he's not breathing, and all of a sudden, my son, who's 45 pounds, I'm almost a 200-pound man, I'm breathing over him, and he pushes me off of him. As if he weighed 200 pounds. Does not even move, just pushed me off. And my wife looks, she's screaming, is he breathing? And I said, son, you're scaring your mother. It's the mother. You got to be concerned about the mother, Pastor. You got to look out for the women. And just he looks like he's about to go back out. And I say, son, I'm going to blow in your mouth again. You better wake up. And as he starts to come to, and the paramedics get there, and we rush him. He had had a febrile seizure. His temperature had gone up too fast, and he seized, just seized up. He's fully recovered. But when I was sitting in... But there's some places in the world that are really religious, like in the back of an ambulance. In the back of an ambulance, your profession and degrees and education don't really mean much. What people think of you, what you think of yourself becomes completely inconsequential. As you sit there like I did and you look at your little boy and wonder what could have happened, all you do is thank God for this day. I am not here as an education expert. I'm here as your brother. I'm here as a father. And as such, I have to ask myself every day, why? Why am I doing this? I'm not an entertainer. You heard. That's it right there. I'm so sick and tired of y'all. I just wish I could go to like an event or something and they say, all right, Dr. Perry, you come up and do your talent. Like, I can't just give a short speech. 77 years ago, I had a dream today. Ah! I have to ask myself why, because for me, it is about the word, and the word that I use is education. And I'll tell you why it's important, because education is a religion. It's a lifestyle just like any other. You can tell a pupil just like you could tell a Christian. By their deeds and actions, you could see something about them. And I'm telling you, here in Memphis, y'all got some splaining to do. I'll be honest with you, it doesn't get much worse than this anywhere in the country. I've traveled from coast to coast, the Caribbean and Canada. I've not seen it any worse than I see it in Memphis. It is as bad as it is, and worse than some of y'all think. I don't know if it was 87 girls pregnant at Frazier or 90. When you start estimating up at this point, I've once heard that it ain't that bad. It is. And if it can get worse, I don't want to be here when it does. Let me talk to you about the truth here so we can get to the On Tuesday, part of my travels, I was in a place called Corona, California, and I met a man who's 35 years old, he's a father and illiterate. And there's a reason why I'm talking to you grown people about that. Because oftentimes when we talk about education, we talk about the kids. But according to the Urban Center here in Memphis, 1/3 of you adults are functionally illiterate. If we were to look at this in an equal sense, that would mean everybody over here could not read a stop sign and could not read the word. Strange, really, in a church that exists on a book, that you can't even participate in true worship. And I'm here to tell you it's not your fault. When I spoke to this father, and you'll see it, I interviewed him, called himself Mr. Z. Mr. Z spent his entire life not knowing how to read. And he, like many of y'all here this morning, mouthed his way through songs, faked his way through opening his own business. Had a landscaping business. Got married, had 2 children. He's a father just like me, just like you, right? He gotten a degree. I asked him, a diploma, I'm sorry. He had gotten a high school diploma. I asked him to tell me what it felt like when you sat down and came off that stage. And this man, who's now 57 years old, cried. See, because I, as a principal, right, I signed my signature on the bottom. It's a contract, really, with you and the community. I say that this child has the rights and privileges in accordance to that which he's been able to complete and complete all the expectations, blah, blah, blah. That's what I do. That's a contract with the community. That's what I'm saying to y'all. If I was here in Memphis, when you kid goes, because everybody, the kid goes across, we're all excited, he comes back, sits down, he should be able to read. This father, Mr. Z, told me that he could not read the diploma that he was given. As we hear in the church, the truth shall set you free, and the word should uplift you. Well, this word is going to uplift you. Because I want you to understand that it doesn't have to be this way. 70% of your children, according to the National Association of Educational Programming, which is called the NAEP, are below level. That would be everyone from here back. Here in Memphis. Your children. So Mr. Z told me, and this is a grown man, and men, we know this is, we're men. We're men. He said that all he wanted to be was a good father. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you could be all you want to be, pastor, you know. You could be the best pastor, preacher, whatever. But if you a bad father, that's all that people care about. You a bad parent, people, that's what their people say. You can make as much money as you want, live in as nice a house you want, but everybody going to look at you and they're going to have a question about you. If you can't raise your kid, I can't give you credit for doing anything else. It's my biggest fear. Every ounce of credibility that I might gain will be lost if my kids act a fool. I tell them that every day. Let them know that don't let these degrees fool you, son. I will wear your behind out. Don't you dare embarrass daddy, because daddy embarrasses real easy. But Mr. Z said that he wanted to be a good father. And so he had faked all the way through life, and his wife didn't really know he couldn't really read until one day he was outed by his 7-year-old son. Ladies, there's some things I can explain to you, and there's some things I simply cannot. But to be a man, right, and to have your boy say, Daddy, you can't read. When I was in the 3rd grade, I discovered that my grandfather couldn't read. And we all, just like many of y'all do, and many people do for you, we all created a cocoon around him. We kept it going. My grandfather passed away a few years ago and still could not read. We are not helping each other. You and I can't get Memphis to where it needs to be until New Olivet starts to own its own issues. Ain't a lot of hoop, ain't a lot of holler in this one, because it's just the truth. Mr. Z said that when his son said that to him, on cue, he cried. He said he got up and left the room and did not want to read to his son anymore. said he never volunteered for his soccer because he didn't want somebody else's child to bring something to him to read so he couldn't read it. He said he was afraid that if something happened, he wouldn't be able to help a child because he couldn't read a warning. He said he didn't feel like a man because he couldn't read. I know that you can't have a school system as bad as the one you have, and there not be quite a few of you in here who struggle to read. And we got to be honest with each other. It is not your fault. Mr. Z said that he didn't blame his teachers. I told him I do. I said, you can say what you want. You can be as understanding as you wish, but I'm here to tell you that somebody did something to you that they should not have done. If one of you as a parent decides to leave your child out of school for just 1 week without an education, the good state of Tennessee will send someone to come see you. And if they find that you have, in fact, for whatever reason, without cause, kept your child away from education, then they will get you on educational neglect, which is a crime. In all 50 states, it is a crime. To rob a person of their right to an education as a parent is a form of criminal activity in every single state in the union. Yet, when a school district fails 70% of its children, they lie to you and tell you that it's because you're black and because you don't participate in education, because of your education, because of something that you did. You pay them enough money so that they can live in the suburbs and send their children to good schools and teach their children to read. And they have the audacity and disgustingness to blame you for what they should be taking care of. What kind of human being can look into the eyes of a child and blame a child who's 4 years old? 4 years old for not acting right. He's 4. Every single time I turn around, I hear another lame educator. I hear another teachers union scumbag because I can't stand them. Got y'all thinking that it's your fault, that you did something wrong when they did you wrong and your grandmama wrong and everybody wrong for generations. For generations, and told you that you are inherently inferior. Oh, I love my good liberal people because they're very understanding. They understand where you're coming from. For them, it's, well, you know, they have so many challenges in life and they have to take care of their younger brothers and sisters and the single mom and the father's in prison and this and that. Ain't that the same racist foolishness that we were trying to fight before? So because it comes from the Democrats, we don't see it as racist? Because it comes from those people who say, I was marching with Dr. King. I bought my ticket to the Freedom Fund dinner. Because God knows the NAACP has been bought and sold. Brother, I ain't here to play with y'all this morning. Y'all got these people up here singing, got me all fired up. I'm here to be real with you. When your leaders don't lead, the people can't follow. We can't get to where we're supposed to go. I'm here to tell you that an organization that builds its reputation on taking care of the downtrodden has been reduced to the Freedom Fund dinner. I'm here to tell you that our good friends, and there